And here we go. All right, kids at home. This is the first time we've ever done one of these problems. You haven't missed anything. All right, so we're doing problems that are one step harder than our V-shaped equation. They require one more layer of thought. Okay, one more layer of thought. We're talking about individual atoms in compounds or molecules. Okay, and we're going to do some molar math with them. So here's one. How many, boy, that's not very dark, so let's switch this. How many atoms of sodium are found in 200 grams of sodium phosphate? Okay? How many atoms of sodium, I'm only asking about the sodium, are found in 200 grams of sodium phosphate? Okay? So here's what we have to do. We have to figure out, the problem with these problems is there are multiple ways to do them, okay? Let's start out with our V-shaped equation. Our number given over 1 times 1 over the proper number. If you don't know what this is, then you need to go back and do yesterday's work. Times the proper number asked over 1 equals. All right? Now, there's multiple ways for us to do this problem. Multiple ways. How many atoms of sodium are found in 200 grams of sodium phosphate? All right. The number we're given is 200 grams. All right? 200 grams. All right? Now, what is the proper number when we're talking about grams for sodium phosphate? All right? What is the proper number when we're talking about grams of sodium phosphate? We're going to add it up. 23 plus 23 plus 23 plus 31 plus 64. What'd you get? Okay, I'll go with that. 164 grams. If we stopped right here, we would know how many moles of sodium phosphate we have. All right? But we're not going to stop there. We're going to keep going. And the proper number asked, how many atoms? All right. Now, the proper number for atoms, for a complete entire mole of atoms, is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. Okay? And when we finish this equation, that's going to tell us how many total compounds of sodium phosphate we have, okay? So the answer that we're going to get by doing this is for sodium phosphate, okay? We have to pretend that they're asking us about sodium phosphate first, and then we're going to turn around and solve it just for sodium. 200 over 164 times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. 200 divided by 164 times 6.02 EE23 equals 7.3 times 10 to the 23rd. Okay? Now, this right here is the total number of compounds of sodium phosphate. Since we use 164 and 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, it's just like the problem said, how many compounds of sodium phosphate are found in 200 grams? But the problem really says how many atoms of sodium, okay? So we have this many sodium phosphates. Well, let's look at a sodium phosphate molecule right here. They're 3 PO4. So on every one of these molecules, on every one of these, there are 3 sodiums. So it's this answer times 3. Does that make sense? So that'd be 2.2 times 10 to the 23rd. 24th, yeah, because that takes us up to 20. 2.2 times 10 to the 24th. So what we did was we solved this equation, just like yesterday's problem, the V-shaped equation, and then we multiplied our answer times 3. Now, there's another way to do this. Do you want me to not show you the other way and just keep going, or do you want me to show you another way to do it? I'm going to sincerely ask you that, because sometimes showing you too many ways makes it confusing. Sometimes showing you another way, you might say, I like that way better. What do you want, people? Just stick with this. Okay, that's what we're going to do. All right, let's do another one. People at home. People at home. Don't forget, you can play this video faster, and it just makes me sound irritated. Have you ever noticed that? Yeah, it does. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Play yourself on 1.5, and it just makes you sound like you want to punch whoever you're talking to. It's so funny. It's hilarious. Like, I have a good buddy I grew up going to high school with who's a super, super smart person. And first time I watched one of my YouTube videos last spring, I played it back in 1.25, and he and I are both in the same small town, and I sound exactly like him. Exactly. I was like, oh my Lord, I sound exactly like my friend. All right, because he just spoke just a little bit quicker than me. Maybe it's because he's a little bit smarter than me. The world may never know. Okay, let's try another one, everybody. How about this? How many grams of potassium are found in 1.6 times 10 to the 23rd compounds of potassium sulfate? Hey, hop this number for me if you don't mind, so I can get through it a little bit quicker. All right, everybody. So it's not how many grams of potassium sulfate are in 1.63 times 10 to the 23rd compounds. It's how many grams of potassium are there. Does that make sense? All right. Check this out. This one's going to be, I'm going to make this as simple as I can make it. Ready? What are we given? The given number is 1.6 times 10 to the 23rd times 1 over the proper number. What's the proper number when we talk about this? That's right. That's right. 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. That's the proper number for 1 mole of compounds. Times. Now there's 2 ways to do it from here. Okay? What do you think the simplest way to do this is? Let's look at the question right now. How many grams of potassium? What could we do right now to make this problem just not have any more steps than this right here? How many grams of potassium? What if we just put the number for potassium right here? That would work. Does that make sense? 2 Ks would be 78 grams, right? If you're at home, potassium is 39 on the, has a mass of 39, right? So does that make sense? That's one way to do this problem. Another way to do this problem would be this. So look, if you want to do this, that's great. Now let me show you the other way. which is really what they expect you to do. I say they like we have a test. We don't have a state test anymore. So it's really what I guess most colleges would expect you to understand. We're going to put potassium sulfate's entire weight right here. What is it?
174.
174. Okay? And then now we're going to get an answer. So I'm going to say 1.6 times 10 to the 23rd divided by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd times 174 equals 46.2. Okay? Now that would be if we solve for the whole thing. All right? Right? Okay. And then what a chemist would expect you to know how to do or expect you to understand is to say, okay, we would have 46.2 grams of potassium sulfate. And then we would look at potassium sulfate and we would say to ourselves, what percentage of potassium sulfate is just the potassium? Now, potassium sulfate weighs 174, right? And the potassium is only 78 grams of the total. So what's 78 divided by 174? 0.4. So let's try 46.2 times 0.4. See what you get. It's only 40% of the total. $18.5. Right? Is everybody with me on that? 46.2 times 0.4. Is that what y'all got when you did that? Okay, now let's go back and work the problem like I showed you the first time. What if we did this? How many grams of potassium? And then right here, we just put the potassium here. Yep.
For these, should we go more than one decimal place? Because if you
Yeah, because you're going to find it makes our answers just a little bit different. Yeah. You want to keep all of your numbers until the end. Okay, now if we did this the other way, how many grams of potassium are in blah, blah, blah. We just put the grams for potassium here. Then let's try it. We're doing it the other way now. 1.6 times 10 to the 23rd divided by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd times 78. Oh, the rounding has messed us up.
Yeah.
Because that makes us 21. So somewhere along the way, we've rounded off way too much.
It was at the.
yeah, at the end when I said 0.4, it should have been 0.44.
Oh, you said 0.4 and it was really 0.44. Okay, people at home, we got 21 grams. What was that first original answer we had?
It was 78 over 174.
78 over 174.
And that should be about like 0.44.
0.44.
0.44 something.
And what 0.44 out of what was our original answer?
18 point something, but with 0.44 you get 20.32.
Yeah. So that's just the rounding. So long story short, people, you can do these two different ways. So how long has this video lasted? 14 minutes. All right. I'm going to give you a little worksheet, and people at home, there'll be a little ed puzzle with a little more explanation for you.